Welcome to Solo Travel Adventures, my sisters. Don't let fear hold you back from traveling alone. I want you to gather your courage, listen to inspiring stories, and learn how to travel solo while safely navigating new places from this show. I'm Cheryl Esch, solo travel advocate and travel coach, and I want you to have a transformative experience when you travel solo. So pack your bags, book your flight, and check one more time for that passport. It's time to explore the world. Hello, sister travelers. Well, have you started planning your trips for 2024 yet? Well, I know that safety can be something of a concern, and we often have to think about that as solo travelers and being women as well. There are, different approaches to what they consider safe and what you might consider safe, right? So I have chosen 3 ways that you can decide on a place. Based on these 3 criterias, it might help you narrow it down to a safe place for you to travel. But as always, make sure you are doing your research, following up on that. So if you determine a place and you're not sure, you can do some research, and you can also reference. I did do an episode number 12. It was almost exactly a year ago, where I did mention 10 countries that are considered safe for female solo travelers. I believe most of that is still holds true to today. But, be watching the news, be seeing, what's going on out there, because things do change rather quickly. Things can change on a dime. For example, it was a woman traveler that was on another podcast that was living in Syria, actually, and had done lots of travel in the Middle East. And, when things started happening in Syria last year, I believe it was around April, she did get out of the country. So, like I said, things happen quickly, things could change. So even a place that you're considering, just keep tabs on it, keep doing your research. But you can also reference episode 12 to see if any of the places you're considering are on that safe country list that I compiled. Also, safety is a matter of perspective. So, what I'm saying or what I'm offering, is maybe some people won't feel safe in certain places, depending on your background, your experience, and, what you've been through. But know that, everybody has different levels of what they consider safe and others don't. If you are a seasoned traveler, most likely your idea of what is considered safe is going to have broader boundaries than maybe someone who is brand new getting out there. And this episode, these 3 criteria, is a great place to start if you are, new to solo traveling, you are planning your first trip maybe, or you haven't done it in a while. I do see, there's women that are, in their 50s now that maybe they traveled a lot in their 20s, and then they had families, things happen, life happens, they had their careers, and now that they're maybe empty nesters or they're single, they have more freedom to travel. Well, I will tell you, things have changed quite a bit in those 30 odd years, right, since you've probably traveled. So just again, do your research and consider these 3 criteria, and they're pretty simple. I'm not giving you actual places, but this will help you narrow it down, and things that I have found that I always feel safer when I follow these 3 points. So the first one is go where they speak your native language. Now, I feel more comfortable that way because then there's no barrier of communication. And I've always enjoyed, for example, my trip to Ireland, to London, to Belize, all those places where they actually speak English were I felt very safe. And I felt comfortable, because I wasn't having to deal with this language barrier. Now, if you do speak a second language, then you can go to, you have more choices, right? I think it's important. I'm not saying you don't have to go to a place where they don't speak your native language. luckily for English-speaking people, a lot of people, even in foreign countries, do speak English as a second language. So you will more likely be able to, find more places where you might feel more comfortable. But keep that in mind as you're looking at places. And I've been to Canada, and of course they speak English there. So these are places that have been enjoyable because I didn't have to worry about that, right? I didn't have that anxiety about not being able to communicate, especially, you're by yourself, and what if your phone dies or you get lost, and having to ask for directions in another language is really challenging. And so knowing how, being able to communicate in your own language is very beneficial. All right. Number 2, I recommend going on a road trip. Why a road trip? Well, I don't know. This is me personally, but I like to have my own vehicle as far as going on a road trip. I'm on a road trip now, basically, but I had to rent a car, and so it's just different. I can't bring everything that I would want to bring. And, but the other caveat of, having your own vehicle and driving, going on a road trip, is you can get out of Dodge. You don't feel comfortable or safe in a certain place, you can just take off, right? You have your vehicle, you can take off. Whereas if you're relying on maybe some public transportation, again, you have to navigate that, right? Whereas, you got your car and turn on your GPS and just go somewhere, right? For me, it makes me feel more confident in my travels because I'm in my own vehicle. I'm feeling comfortable. I'm also able to take things that I might not be able to take when I fly. And going on a road trip, you always have that flexibility as well. So there's definitely a confidence that can be built by going on a road trip. And again, that might mean you go local, or you can drive somewhere for 3 hours. And maybe if you're lucky and you don't live in a huge state like Texas, a 3-hour drive will get you to another state or even another country, depending on where you live. We look at Europe and how small some of those countries are, and they easily can take either a train ride or a car ride to another country. Whereas in Texas, where I live, it literally takes from end to end and north to south, east to west, it takes 10 hours basically to get across Texas, or even north to south Texas. So, I can go 3 hours and still be, not far from where I live. So, take a road trip. That's a great way to, just get out, feel comfortable, right? Because you're in a comfortable setting in your own vehicle, and having the ability to just leave when you feel like it. Number 3, I recommend go where it is more populated. So these are going to be places where there's, a higher population. I don't recommend, especially as a first-time solo traveler and you're trying to build this confidence, that you go to some remote place in Thailand, right? You want to be probably in the cities where there's more access to transportation, more access to other people, and maybe even running into people that would speak your own language possibly. So these are 3 potential ways to help you determine where to go based on this criteria. And these, for me, help me feel safe. It eliminates any kind of anxiety that might come with traveling solo and going into the unknown. So if you're 1, going someplace where they speak your language, 2, maybe go on a road trip with your own vehicle, or 3, go where it is more populated. So these are ideas that you can use to help you figure out where to go on your next solo adventure, ladies. So I want to also put out there that if you are not part of my Facebook group and you're interested in joining me on Saturday, January 20th at 9 a.m., I'm going to do just a short live video. I'll call it a mini type of workshop where I'm actually going to walk you through just 2 things that I do to get started to determine where to go. Okay, outside of these criterias, I want to offer you some guidance on, if you're stuck on deciding where to go on your destination this coming year, that this little tiny, get together that we're going to do live is available to you to help guide you through that start of that process. So I hope you will join me, and it will be January 20th at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time here in the U.S., but that's 10 Eastern or 7 a.m. Pacific. And then if you're any other time zone, you can figure that out. So, but it'll be live. You just kind of join the Facebook group. I'll be going live at that time, and hopefully you can join me. All right. I hope to see you there. Hey, sister travelers. Did this podcast inspire and encourage you, or move you to get out there and travel? Wonderful. There are 3 ways you can thank me. First one is leave a written review for the show on Apple Podcast. 2, share the show with your sister travelers, your friends, your family. And 3, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And thank you again for listening to the show. Sisters, be fearless, take the leap, and get out there and have an adventure.